Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for coming. I'm author Tarah Benner. You may have come here through the Ether Witch audiobook that I posted, or maybe you somehow found my podcast, The Writing Cabin with Tarah Benner. I just wanted to make a quick video to discuss the reading order for the Witches of Mountain Shadow series because I know a lot of you have come in for that series, and now that there are 6 books and 2 novellas, I worry that the reading order might be a little confusing. And so I just wanted to clear that up here for you today. Now, there are 2 ways that you can enjoy the series. Well, of course, you can enjoy them in any order you wish, but I would suggest moving through the series in one of 2 ways. The first way is chronological order. And by chronological order, I mean the order in which events take place within the story world, year by year. The other way is my preferred / suggested reading order for maximum enjoyment. So either way is fine. You will still have a blast. You will not be lost, I promise. So I will just go through that right now. So chronologically speaking, the first actual book in the series is The Witch's Fortune. Now, you do not have to read The Witch's Fortune to enjoy Ether Witch or any of the other books. I actually wrote this when I was in the middle of writing book 6. It was this novella challenge that I did on TikTok, and it was fun, but it's not necessary to enjoy the rest of the series. But The Witch's Fortune is Fiona's story before she ever comes to Mountain Shadow. It's all about kind of what brought her back and why she decided to stay, because she left and lived in Salem for several years, and it was, her parents died and she came back. That's not a spoiler. That's very clear in the first book that her parents were dead. But she comes back to their house and she finds this spirit there who has one mission and one mission alone, which is to keep Fiona in Mountain Shadow. And so The Witch's Fortune, it's pretty short. You can pick up the Kindle version during launch week for $1.99, or you can get the paperback. The paperback is really pretty, so might I suggest the paperback. Eventually, I'm going to be doing an audio version of it on my channel, but it's not going to be an official audiobook. It'll just be me reading. So that's chronologically the first book. It takes place 4 or 5 years before Ether Witch begins. Next, we have Blood Ties. Blood Ties is also a novella, but it is from Gabriel and Wesley's perspectives. And this novella takes place before they come to live in Mountain Shadow. I'm trying not to give any spoilers here, but this one I wrote, I think, between Ether Witch and Demon Witch. Again, it's not necessary to understand things that happen in the main series, although there are references in the main series to things that happen in Blood Ties. And none of those things really are going to hamper your understanding or enjoyment of the main series if you haven't read this, but it will definitely fill in some gaps. And as well, there is a character who's introduced in book 3, I believe, maybe book 4. She's introduced in book 4, I think, Morgan, and she is in this one. And Morgan is kind of a fan favorite as far as side characters go, and this is where you're introduced to her. So Gabriel and Wesley's perspectives. Fiona does not make any appearance in this novella, but it's a lot of fun. It's its own contained story, so you can read it with or without having read the series. Next, chronologically, we have Ether Witch, which is probably what you guys have already read if you're here. This is the first book in the main series where we're introduced to our protagonist, Fiona, and her sister, Eleanor, and their whole quirky cast of small town characters who are mostly witches. So that's Ether Witch. The next one, book 2 in the main series, is Demon Witch. And this is where Gabriel really starts to shine. If you have read Ether Witch, you've been introduced to Gabriel, and he's a little bit of an antagonist in book 1, but in book 2, he and Fiona are forced to work together to deal with Mountain Shadow's demon problem. And Fiona is coming into some brand new powers. So this is book 2. It is not available on my YouTube channel. If you are wanting the audiobook, you can find all of those at tarahbenner.com/audio. So, Demon Witch. Next up is Spirit Witch. This is book 3 in the main series. And this book is all about dealing with the consequences of Fiona's actions in book 2. So I can't say too much about that, only that a new character comes into play in this book. She actually comes back from the dead and really kind of wreaks havoc in Mountain Shadow. So definitely want to pick this up once you finish Demon Witch. Next up, we have Dark Witch. This is book 4 in the main series. And I would say books 2 through 6, you really cannot read those out of order. No matter what you have got to read, you can't skip around in the main series. They are not self-contained. There are some cliffhangers, I would say, but mostly it's just that things are revealed that get spoiled if you read them out of order. And in Dark Witch, as the name implies, that's kind of a darker period for Fiona in the first few chapters because she's dealing with some pretty serious things that she did to protect her town in book 3. And so that's Dark Witch. Book 5, Hunter's Witch. This one was super fun for me to write. In this one, Gabriel has been, I'm reading the back because I can't remember. Gabriel's been kidnapped in this one. So big deal. Don't want to read these out of order. And then book 6 is the last in the series. This really wraps the whole series up nicely, if I do say so myself. All the questions have been answered. All the mysteries have been solved. Fiona has come into some pretty extraordinary new powers. And we are left kind of knowing where everybody lands. So that is the chronological order that you can read them in. However, what I would suggest is that you always start with book 1 of the main series. So if I were you, I would start with Ether Witch. And then from there, I think that it's a lot of fun to read Blood Ties because at this point you've been introduced to both Wesley and Gabriel. You kind of know them, but this one will give you much greater insight into both of them as a character, and it just makes the whole series a lot more fun, in my opinion, if you know them on this level. You definitely, I think, would want to read this before book 3, because things come into play that little asides are mentioned. You're like, I don't know about that. This will answer all those questions for you. So then you can, if you would like, at any point, pick up The Witch's Fortune. I can't say like a perfect place to read this one, but I think after book 1, it's going to be more fun for you. But really, any point later in the series, you're good to pick this up and then just continue to read the rest of the series in order. So I hope that helps. I hope you are enjoying the series. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. Tell me if you've continued after Ether Witch or where you are in the series.